Hi, I'm Boone. This is Boone's Slot Car Garage. And tonight we're going to keep on working on this area over here. And we're going to make ourselves some guardrail. But not like the other guardrail that we made. We're going to make ourselves some double rail guardrail. Alright? Let's do this. So, first video I ever did was on guardrail. And we made this roller right here. And we made this style of guardrail. So for this video, we're going to change it up a little bit. So let me get rid of this one. This one is the one that we're going to use tonight. So this is design that I actually was working on originally, and I couldn't quite make it work. So I made a different design. So before we can make the guardrail that we're going to make, we need to make this. Okay, so we need to make ourselves our jig. So this is the lower part of the jig, and what I've done is just went ahead and took some simple 1x3 board and mounted some round stock doweling on top of it. Now the dowel itself is 3/16. So if you look down onto it, you can see where I've just went ahead and just used finish nails and just nailed that right down onto the 1x3 board. So you get your doweling, go ahead and put that down through and then nail it down. I went ahead and had to do some pilot holes just so I wouldn't split this doweling when I'm fastening it to the 1x3. Now to get my spacing, I went ahead and took a little piece of dowel. It's the same 3/16 diameter, and just set that down in between. And that gives me the distance between the two dowels. So once you have that built, then it's time to build the actual roller. Okay, so now for the roller, all it is 2-inch fender washers. And I went ahead and I have 4 of them here. I have one on the outside on both sides, and there's 2 of them in the middle. Okay, you can see there's 2 of them right there. Then I just went ahead and put some 1-inch washers in the middle of those, and there's 2 on each side to get the actual spacing that I need. Just go ahead and connect that to some type of cradle, and you can see I have it in there like that. Okay, so it's fastening up on top, and the reason why I have it like this is so I can put my hand on top of it and apply pressure while I'm working it back and forth onto that jig. So let me grab that jig real quick and bring it over here. When you can see what this does, it actually sits right there. So if I tilt this up, you can see how those fit right into that channel of that dowel, and it rolls back and forth just like that. In some ways, this is a lot easier jig to build than the original one that I came up with. So what I had found out is that when I first tried to do this, I just built the lower, and I was trying to work the aluminum just with the lower jig, and it just didn't work. And through a little bit of thought and whatnot, I came up with this roller to go ahead and fit in here and roll back and forth. And you can see with the top, the way it's like that, once it's in, you can apply pressure and then roll it. Okay? So now that we've kind of gone through all this, let's go ahead and grab ourselves some aluminum and start making some guardrail. All right, the first part of our procedure, we need to get ourselves some aluminum. And this is aluminum flashing that they use on roofs. So you can get this at hardware stores or whatnot. And it's pretty cool stuff. It's real light, it's easy to work with. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and cut a piece of this off, and we'll come back and start measuring it out. Okay, so in order to make this guardrail, we need to go ahead and measure off 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. So once you do that, go ahead and mark it all off. And then with this aluminum, it's really nice because we can just cut it with simple scissors. So once you get that marked off, just come in here and just cut on across it. So I went ahead and I have my aluminum all cut out, and you go ahead and set it down on your jig. Now, nice thing about this jig is that when we roll it out, it makes a real nice crisp guardrail. The original roller that I made, you can actually make longer runs of guardrail with it, but as far as the actual crispness of it, this one works a lot nicer. Now with this one also, you can see that it's only, you know, so long that I have it. You can go longer or shorter. It's all up to you. It's your personal preference. But what I'm going to do for demonstrating this is we're just going to go ahead and set this piece down here, okay? Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are in between here, you know, fairly equally, okay? You don't want to have it off to the side or anything else. So get that lined up here, and then also line it up into the back. So push it down and make sure you're lined up in the center point there. Once you have that, go ahead and get a piece of duct tape or masking tape, and we're just going to go ahead and put this right down in the middle. And what we're doing is we're preventing our aluminum from walking around on us, okay? So we have this right down the middle. I'm gonna go ahead and press it down just a little bit, and we grab our roller. So the first couple, you get this over here. Nice thing about this is I have a kind of a lower table, and I can actually set this between my two thighs to help, you know, to help do this. So if you just kind of roll it out, and it just takes a few little strokes, and just kind of keep it going nice and straight. And you can already see how this rail is starting to take shape. Okay, so as you go, you're going to start applying a little bit more pressure. I'm applying more pressure on my way out than I am on the way in. So when it's here, I'm applying pressure and rolling out, okay? Apply pressure, roll it out. And you can see how that's starting to take shape for us, okay? So once you got it so it's starting to form over the top of your dowels, then start applying pressure towards you. And this will just slowly start to work its way in. You just keep on doing this, and it just starts forming that rail, okay? So I'm just gonna keep on working this area. Then I'm gonna jump over on the other side, roll this, and we come back, we'll start working the middle out. Okay, so I got both sides. Now, let's go ahead and hold this tape, like so. And I'm just gonna move it down on the one side of it. Set this back in, and start rolling it across. So as you can see, it just starts working its way all the way through. You just work back and forth, and the more you work it, the more it actually starts to come down. Now there's a little bit hanging over here on that one side, and I might have to come back when we're all done and just trim a little bit on the edge of it. But a lot of times, if you just keep on working this back and forth, it'll just form itself on through. So that pretty much is how we make our guardrail. So let me go ahead and finish this all out and we'll take it to the next spot. So I went ahead and I worked it back and forth for a while, and this is pretty much what we ended up with as far as our guardrail. Now, this side was able to come around quite a ways. This side has a little bit of a lip to it, okay? And it's not too big of a deal if it is like that. If you look on the side right here, you can see how it has just this bend right through that area. So what we can do is grab our trusty scissors again, and we can come back and just dress this up a little bit. So we have this area right in there. Let's see here. And when you find that little bend, and just come right in here on the side and just trim this up. So I went ahead and I trimmed it up, set it back down on here a little bit, and just kind of set this down in, give it a couple rolls, and there we go. So you can see how this guy makes, it makes a nice rail, and we can keep it nice and thin, and we have a little bit more control over our guardrail using this system than we did on the other one. So downside of this guy, it takes a little bit longer to make a guardrail than it does on the previous roller. But the plus side, you make a lot more consistent guardrail, and I believe the guardrail actually looks a little bit better doing it this way. So now what we need to do with this is take it to the next step. Okay, now that we have our guardrail set, the next stage of this, I'm gonna go ahead and paint it. So the guardrail that I am making is kind of modeled after the guardrail that's at Watkins Glenn. So I found some paint it's real close to the color of that guardrail. And what this is just a regular Rust-Oleum Krylon style rattle can. And you can either paint your guardrail, or you could go ahead and actually just keep it like this and just do like a aluminum style, metal style guardrail. So you can skip this portion if you'd like, or you don't have to go with my color. You could paint it red, or you could paint it white, or any color that you want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spray it with this. When we come back, we'll have painted guardrail. Okay, so it's all painted, it's all dry, got both sides. So there's one, and there's two. So we are making double rail guardrail. So kind of an idea of what it's going to look like when it's done. Let's set this off to the side. What we're going after is this. So you can see that it's all the way on through, and it's double rail. So how did we get to that point? Well, let's start building some guardrail. So we have our guardrail, and we need to make some posts. So what I'm going to use is 1/4 inch square dowel, and this actually is balsa. Now on my first video, I went ahead and used pine or a hardwood dowel. For this, I'm using balsa. For one thing, it's a lot easier to work with. And the other thing is, since this is going to be mounted in two areas, we're going to have plenty of strength. So I went ahead and I stained this with Danish oil, and this is dark walnut that I've used on a couple other projects here on the layout on other videos. And I just went ahead and stained it ahead of time. Now, you can do it this way with like the wood effect. You could paint it white. You could do all sorts of different stuff. The guardrail that is at Watkins Glen, actually the posts are painted the same color as the guardrail. So you could actually build the whole entire guardrail and then do your painting at the very last part if you wanted to, or you could go ahead and paint your rails out and then paint this separately. It would probably turn out a lot nicer if you did it that way, because if you have this laid on there, and let's just kind of do this just for giggles. Here, I actually have one post already cut out here. So if we lay this post on here, and we get our other post on, or other rail on there, okay? If you went to go ahead and paint this when it was all assembled, you might have a little bit of trouble getting down inside. And that may not concern you, or it might. Would you be able to see it when it's all together? You might. You just might at the right angle. So, you know, I like to kind of be a little bit safe, and if it were me, I would paint these two separately. So, getting that out of the way, let's get back to making some posts. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our dowel and we're gonna cut it into 1.5 inch lengths. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and set this off to the side. We come back, let's start cutting some dowel. All right, so here we are. We have it all lined up. So we're gonna go ahead and cut our dowel at 1.5 inches, or that's roughly about 4 centimeters. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and get this guy right here, start making my cut, get that out of the way, and go ahead and finish that up. Now I can use this guy as my reference and go ahead and cut the rest of my dowel. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and slice out some more dowel. When we come back, we'll start mounting our guardrail. All right, so I went ahead and got all my dowel cut. Now, if you have any scraggly edges or anything, this is just a little bit of 80 grit sandpaper, and just dress the sides like so. So go on through all of your doweling and just lightly kiss it like so. So once that's all done, we'll come back and start getting this stuff situated. Okay, so these guys are all dressed up. Set them off to the side over here. And now let's go ahead and start getting our holes figured out for mounting those posts up. Now I'm just using a sharp auger, and what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and put my holes at 2 inches apart. So I want one right here at the end. So I'm just going to go right here, and this stuff's so light that all we got to do is just punch through it and we have a hole. So just like so. So I'll go ahead and go there, and every 2 inches I'll go ahead and make another hole. So I'll keep on doing that. We come back, we'll do the other one. Okay, so I went ahead and I have all my holes on the one rail. Now here at the end, we want to make sure that we line these two up so that they're real close to each other, and go ahead and make our hole in the other one. Now, at that point, we can take this rail, set it off to the side, and proceed with our 2 inches. All right, so what I'm going to use to go ahead and attach my posts are 18 gauge nail braids. So here's the 18 gauge nail braids, and I have some loose ones over here, so I'm actually going to use these. So I'll put those off to the side, and go ahead and pour some into here. Whoop, not that many. So get a few in there. Now what we need to do is grab our post and get it set right up onto here. Now if you notice, I'm not doing the outer one. and I'm not going to do the outer one down here. This, I'm just going to do the inside. And the reason for that is that I've already built the other guardrail, and I need these two open because this is going to be a piece that's going to fit in and connect all my guardrail together. So just so we have a reference for that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and line this up, and I'm making sure that my post is just even with the top. Okay, so go and set that right there. I'll take one of my nail braids, set it right down inside here. And the nice thing about balsa is that we can just push it right on in. Now I have a small flat edge screwdriver, and what I'm gonna do is just kind of push this, take it off to the edge, and then finish it all the way off. And I'm just gonna push it all the way down so the head sits right flush against the inside of the rail. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the remaining ones. We come back, we'll start setting the second rail. Okay, so now we have our row of posts in. And now we need to go ahead and put on our second rail. Now, remember when you're doing this to make sure that you have it correct. And what I mean by that is that all your holes line up, okay? You don't want to have it per se a different way, and all of a sudden your little holes are off and you aren't paying attention, and all of a sudden your posts are all sideways. So make sure that you have your bottom rail the way that you measured it out. And what we're gonna do is, let's see here, let's get our spacing the way that we want. And I want a little bit of a gap, but not too much. So go ahead at this point, and I'm just going to keep on proceeding the same way that we did the upper. So go ahead and take my braid, get it in the hole, and just push it, ow, found my finger, all the way through. Just like that. So there we go. We've got that lined up. Now just keep on going on down, and we'll have some guardrail. Okay, so I went ahead and I have the other one mounted. And if we go to the other side, see how all our braids are sticking on through, right? So we need to get rid of those. So get yourself a pair of small dikes. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and clip those off right there. So what I normally do is go over the top of like a wastebasket, put it like this, and shoot them down. So make sure that you do this away from you, because they come off like a friggin' bullet when you cut them. So I'll go ahead and clip these all off, and we'll take it to the next step. Okay, so now I went ahead and we trimmed those all off on the back. Now at this point, what we need to do to go ahead and strengthen this up, just give it a little bit more strength, a little bit more peace of mind, is I have some liquid super glue. And what I'm gonna do is take this and put just a little bit on the top of each one of the nail heads that pop through. And what this will do is kind of soak down inside there and strengthen it all up for us. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put those on each one. We'll set this off to the side, let that harden up a little bit. When we come back, start mounting our guardrail. Now we need to go ahead and put something up in the edge of these posts that we can mount on our layout. So what I use is just it's like a 1-inch finish nail, okay? And what I do is go ahead and clip the end off. And you want to go ahead and clip it off at an angle. Don't want it straight across. You want it at an angle just so it comes to a sharp point. And the reason behind that, it just makes it a lot easier to go ahead and push that up into the balsa wood into our post. So once you go ahead and you cut that angle off, and I'm just using a pair of dikes to go ahead and do that, and then just go ahead and grab this, support your post. You you don't want to shove this up and not support that. There's a good chance you're going to rip it right off, and all that work that we've done's gone to waste. So just go ahead and take this and shove it right up in, like so. All right, so there's one down. I'll go ahead and cut the rest of these and push them up in on all the others. Now, you notice I didn't use any glue when I did that. And the reason for that, first off, it's a really snug fit. Second off is that when we go ahead and put glue on our nail, when we set it into the layout, that glue will go ahead and push up here to the edge and make a seal up here on the edge, so it will be plenty supported as far as not coming apart. So I'll go ahead and finish off the rest of this, and we'll finally get ready to start mounting this thing up. Right, so let's go ahead and mount this up. So I went ahead and put some Modge Podge, the PVA, on each one of my nail heads that comes through, okay? There's not a whole bunch there, just enough. So let me go ahead and I'll set my brush down. And what I am going to do is line this up. This right on the back side of this berm is kind of where I want to put it. And then just start slowly working it into shape. Okay, so we're just gonna just work it down easily. Okay, don't want to push it down on one side and tweak the whole entire thing. So you just kind of want to just try to get it to all come down into your layout at one time, or not at one time, but just gradually. So let's go ahead and do that. Work down a little bit more, and when I'm pressing, I'm holding my posts, holding those, and then applying pressure down. Okay, so I'll just keep on doing that until I get it right down to where I want to be at. Okay, so I'll keep on doing this. When we come back, we'll work on the other section. All right, so this is the one section that we just built. So if you notice, let me set this guy down. If you notice, I went ahead and I have two sections together at one time. So for me, that's about the extent that I would want to push it. Just because if you had a whole bunch, you'd probably need you and a bunch of buddies to go ahead and set it at one time. But I'm comfortable, you know, just doing the two sections. Now, when it does come together, it's the thing to keep in mind is that depending on which way your cars are traveling down your track. So if I grab this Ferrari, set it here, and it's coming down the track, at your seam, you don't want your seam to be reverse, okay? Meaning that you don't want your edge to be in the direction of oncoming traffic, okay? We want it to be on the back side of it. So we don't want it on the front, we want it on the back if we're traveling this way. And the reason for that, obviously, is it's not such a big thing here on a straightaway, but we get into a corner, and if this was the other way and your car came through and it grabbed a hold of that edge, it could probably do some pretty serious damage, tearing off bumpers and other trim off your car. So if it's this direction, your car's gonna hit it and it's not gonna have any damage. Other way, if it's hit here, that edge, ooh, we're losing stuff. So go ahead and set him right there, and we'll come back and we'll start putting in our missing piece. Okay, so here's our piece that we need to put in. Problem is, it's straight and we got a curve to go around. So Now remember how I only did the middle and I didn't do the ends, right? So the reason behind that is if you look on this guy, he's missing his post as well. Now I made sure that these two holes are bigger than the rest of them. The reason for that is that this is going to go on the back side of that, and I'm going to go ahead and put that braid through, and it just makes it a little bit easier if our back holes are a little bit larger. Trust me, it makes it easier. And then our front holes that are on this are the regular size, so our braids will stop. The heads will stop right there on that hole. So, being as such, this is kind of one of those things. So, we go ahead and we line it up roughly of where our holes are at. Okay, so let me do this. So I got that held. Now we need to figure out where our bend's going to be. So if we start bending it, say in this area, so I'm going to take this and I'm just going to go ahead and start giving it a little bit of the torture treatment. And it's best to do just a little bit at a time, okay? Don't try to bend this all at one time, just slowly work it. And you notice I'm bending in the middle of the posts. I'm not bending at the posts, okay? That's important. If you start bending at the posts, your pins, there's a good chance you're gonna go ahead and screw those up and they'll pull through because how soft this aluminum is. So concentrate between your posts in this area as far as to make your bend. So if we come back, we line up our holes again and start going like that. It's like I need to just arch it some more from roughly about here and start working it over. So I'll just keep on working on this and we come back, we'll see how it all looks. Okay, so we got our bend. And let's just make sure one more time. And there it is. So it's ready for some Modge Podge. So let's go ahead and we'll get Modge Podge put on our nail ends here. So just a little bit here. And you notice I'm not putting on that much. Just enough. Don't want it all hanging off, because if you do that and then you over the top of your layout and it's all loaded up and it starts dripping everywhere. So just enough to make it sticky. So let's go ahead and make sure our holes line up over here as best as we can. And the same way we put in that one, put in this, just a little at a time. So just move here, there, keep an eye on your holes, make sure your holes are where they're good. And we'll just keep on applying pressure until we get it all mounted in. Okay, so there's that. Our holes line up on this side here. So now we'll grab our extra posts that we did, and I went ahead and put a nail into the end of those posts. So at this point I'll go ahead and get a little bit of glue, put some glue on our nail head, set that like so. And then come down here and line this up with the holes and push it right on in. Okay. So now we're lined up with our holes here. At this point in time, grab one of our braids. Now this can get a little tricky. We need to get this lined up lined up through there. Push it down. Grab my screwdriver. This little guy. Press him all the way down. Sticking out the back side. Grab the second one in the hole there. Where's it at? And this is the part that can be kind of a pain in the butt because I can feel it. So let me just keep on working on this. All right, so sometimes you need to have a little bit of help. So I got some needle nose and got it on that braid, and just go ahead and push this guy in. And there we go. And now we'll just finish this off. Got that. Sticking out the back side here, so that's good. Now we got to do is grab our snips, snip our 2 nails off, and then that liquid super glue, we just go ahead and put 2 dabs on that, and she's locked into place. Okay, so we went ahead and I have the other section on. Now we have our liquid super glue, and let's go ahead and line this up. Give it a little kiss, find out where the other one's at. So there, and our other seam was right here. Bit right there. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and let that set up a little bit. Make some little final adjustments as we go on through. And we're almost done. Okay, so now you can see on some of the bends how our rails kind of got a little bit deformed here and there. Now I've got a pair of needle nose pliers, and I just went ahead and put some tape, a little bit of duct tape around it. You could also use masking tape. You just want something that's gonna guard your rail because it is painted from the hard metal edge of your needle nose. But when you see the area up here where it has that peak, just go ahead and grab it with some needle nose and just slowly work it around. And just massage it down. Just like so. It just makes it look, makes it look a little bit better. Instead of having a peak like that, we can just kind of bring it down. So you have those peaks and whatnot, just work them like that. You can see now how it's coming down, so it's not, it looks a little bit more natural. All right. So I'm just going to go around, look at any type of rails that I'm not too keen on, and straighten those out. And then the only thing that we have left is we got to come in and touch up the top of our rails. Okay, so now what I'm doing is coming over the top of my posts, just with my my oil, and all you gotta do is just touch them, and it just soaks it right up. So I'll go ahead and keep on doing this and come back. I think we're almost done. All right, so we've got more guardrail. So let's go take a look at it and see how she turned out. So if we come on down, hey, that's pretty cool. Looks a lot like Watkins Glenn guardrail. So, I have to say that looks pretty cool. So, yeah, that's cool. I like that. Let's go down there and take a little look at that. I like that. That looks good. But again, I went ahead and went with the dark posts. If you guys like, paint it any old color you want. If you want it pink with purple polka dots, I have not ever seen guardrail that's pink with purple polka dots, so that would really stand out. But you know, I think our guardrail turned out pretty cool. So that's one more thing we've done toward this new little area of the layout. So when we come back, we're going to be doing more stuff to that layout in this area. We got crash fence to build. Yeah, crash fence. So if you like this video, like it, share it with others, and subscribe to my channel. And if you look at the top, at the very top of my channel, YouTube channel, it says Boone Slot Car Garage. Over on the side over there is a little thing called Facebook. If you click on that, it'll take you to a page that is for this channel. And from there, you can go ahead and show me what you're working on. I can show you different things for upcoming videos or things that I'm working on the side. Ask questions. There's a bunch of people on there, bunch of knowledge, and we share everything as far as with this great hobby of slot cars. So it's something you might want to check out. But yeah, here we go. So from Boone, from slot car, we're just gonna keep on filming this because this is like maybe the 10th time we're trying to take this, so we're just gonna roll with it. So from Boone, from Slot Car, Boone's Garage, Boone's Slot Car Garage. You know what? I've had enough tonight. I'll see you guys later.